Okay, today's the day. We are going to reload some black powder, 4570. I'm going to take you through my process and some of the cool little features along the way that I've created to make a consistent load. Yeah, let's dig in. All right. First thing I do is deprime. The key here is we do not want to size our fired cases. We want them fire formed to the chamber we're loading for. So we don't want to run them through a sizing die that has a decapper on or anything like that. So I use this is from Buffalo Arms, and this is just a lead priming handle, and of course I cut the tray off of. Keep it simple, you know, and it works. You take it right into the field. You can deprime these and then throw them in your little soapy water. And the nice thing is this will take any cartridge. You can shoot a 45-70 all the way up to probably a 45, well, I don't know, 110, 120, whatever, you know. Drop it in there. Close the I'd say the stop, and then boom, it presses it right out. Okay, presses it right out. It's a really nice, fast tool, you know. Oh man, that one's tight. Oh, I didn't have it in the cup all the way. All right, boom. Drop it in. Boom. Okay. It's really convenient. Boom. It's super simple, super easy to pack away. You know, it's just that simple. There it is. Okay. Now, I like to clean my primer pockets a little bit. Okay. And all right, just get them cleaned out a little bit. That's one of the things that I like. I like to have those just a little bit clean. Okay, now we'll prime them. Now, of course, I load with large Magnum pistol primers. Okay, I get a really consistent ignition. And it works really, really well for a pretty accurate load. You could probably get away with just large pistol primers, but I mean, I go with the match. Okay, now I'm going to prime them. Okay. Now, when I prime, I just want to make sure that it's to the bottom of the cup. Now, something that I've done in the past, if say your primer is seated way too low, okay, what I've done is I've sheared off a little piece of like tissue paper as I'm pressing that primer in to try to raise it up a little bit. It was an experiment a long time ago to try to cool or make a consistent ignition. And it works, you know, it works. It's definitely a real game changer when you're using like rifle primers. I've found works really, really well when you put the tissue paper in there. But with the pistol, you don't need it. Okay, on to powder. So you could do a dispensing, you know, powder measure, you know, to drop your load close, which is what I normally do, but for the sake of the video, and then I take everything over here to the beam scale and I trickle it. I have tried my electronic scale in the past and it works. It's just it will powderize some of the powder, some of the black powder, and I'm really particular about that. I don't want the powder part of it. I just want the granules. All right. So once I have my charge in there, I set my cartridge in here, right underneath my drop tube. Okay. So now on the drop tube. Anything will work. You guys could use, you know, bow and arrow, shaft, anything. I mean, this is just something that, you know, pretty cool. You're going to have it forever, so. Alright, now, the consistency with this is to pour it in the same every single time. And don't be in a big hurry. I like to take my time, count it out in my head. Okay. And then, pull the cartridge out. And then you guys will get an idea. I don't know how well you'll be able to see in there. Let me turn the light on. Alright, so you guys can kind of see the depth of that powder. Okay, what we're going to do this time is I'm going to give you guys an example of what it's like to just drop the powder into the cartridge without a drop tube. Okay, so I'm going to take it and open it right up over the top of this, because you can see inside this cartridge the difference in height. This one was a drop tube and this one was just poured in. Okay, the difference in the height of the powder column. The drop tube gives it a more compressive, a more consistent compression on the powder column than just dropping it in through a regular funnel. Not saying that this couldn't work, of course it will, but the key thing is, in most cases, this right here is 73 grains of 2F Gok's black powder, okay? Now, different manufacturers of the powder can change how well it fits in your cartridges too. I've discovered that. One thing that changes consistency in your load would be your pour rate. If you pour really, really fast or you pour really, really slow, that changes it and can affect how consistent your shot to shot can be. So let's dump this in through the drop tube. Okay, so the next step is we need to compress this. So the bullet is going to go in about that far in my load, and of course the powder is right there. So I like to get about 200 thousandths compression, and how I go about doing that is so this is your RCBS expansion mandrel die. Okay, that's an expander. I take the expander out, and I made my own compression mandrel for this die, and I just screw this in, and we will set the depth and be able to compress that powder charge, and it works really, really well, and it just fits right in there, and it's going to do just what we need. So okay. So, determining how much compression I have on my cartridge, basically you take your case overall length minus your projectile, gives you your powder height in your cartridge. Then you take your cartridge, your trimmed cartridge that you're using, and you subtract your powder height, which gives you your compression from the top of your cartridge, how much you're actually compressing the powder. So the next thing I do is I take my cartridge I did drop my powder into out of my drop tube, and I just take a little piece of cardboard stock, like almost construction paper. I drop that in. No particular, doesn't matter, you know, which way. I drop that in, and then I compress it using the compression die that I made inside of my RCBS expansion die. And I go up really slow because I want to make sure I get it good and lined up in there. And then I just compress. And I always hold it at the bottom. And then there it is, fully compressed in there. You can kind of see that it's down a long ways. Now, I take my calipers and I always measure until I get it good and set where I like. Okay, 584. All right, 584, and I'm shooting. That's 584.5, pretty close. I'm shooting for 585. Okay, that's how far you're going to compress the load. And then you will be able to take your projectile. Boom. Set it right on the end of it. That's it. No, there, look at this. Whoop, pull it right back out. Okay, that's it. That's all we're after. And as you can see, those two are identical. We'll do one more. Okay, take our little cardboard, like construction paper. I set that in there. I go, I just want it flat so it's covering all of the powder. Come on. I want it flat over the powder. Okay, just like that. Stick it in here. I'm going to compress it. Go up real slow. I'm touching. Start the compression process. And I hold it at the bottom. Okay. And then, there it is. Fully compressed. We'll grab a projectile. Now these are grease groove bullets, okay? And since they're grease groove, I don't run any grease pucks or anything in there. I don't run any of that. This is enough lube for my round. And there we go. We have 3 completed black powder cartridges.